Welcome to my channel Living Linux. This video will be a bit different than my previous videos because it will be mainly about Windows 10. So today I'm going to give you my first impression of the Chuwi Gemibook, and we're going to boot it. And as you can see, it is a glossy screen. So when you have mostly black in your screen, you can see some reflection. But as soon as you have some colors in your screen, then the reflection isn't that noticeable anymore. Of course, it's still a little bit of reflection in the screen, but it's not really annoying in my opinion. Oops. I have to fill in, of course, the correct password. So here we are in Windows 10, and I saw on some other videos on YouTube that people were wondering if you can charge the Chuwi Gemibook with USB-C. And in fact you can, and I'm not really sure if this is visible, but here it says fully charged 100%, and this is a USB-C charger. And now you also see that it's just running on battery now. And when I plug it back in, then it says fully charged 100%. So the trick is that I have the suspicion that because the barrel charger is 12 volts, that you need a USB-C charger that can also deliver 12 volt. So when you have like a cheap phone charger that can only deliver 5 volts, then the Chuwi Gemibook won't charge over the USB-C port. One of the things I tested was the media playing capabilities, and I have to say I am impressed, because in the past Intel didn't have a good track record with their integrated graphics chip. So here we have the Big Buck Bunny file, a movie, and when we look at the properties, it is a 4K video, 60 frames per second, and I have VLC installed. So when we look at the codec information, you can see that it's actually H.265, 60 frames per second, 4K. And of course you can say like, hey, but the Chuwi Gemibook, it doesn't have a 4K screen, but it does mean that it needs to decode the 4K file and scale it down to the 4040p screen. And when you look careful, you will see that it will skip some frames here and there. But all in all, I have to say I'm really impressed. I didn't expect this from a low power Intel chip. Now with this zooming in, you can see that it skips some frames. Perhaps it's not really visible in the video, but yeah, when you look at it yourself, you can see that it does skip some frames, but still, it's watchable. and yeah, I'm really surprised this actually works. Something about the audio: the speakers are downwards firing, so now I have the laptop on a table, and that also is good for the sound. But when you play sound and you have it on your lap, and of course this is a laptop, but then the speakers are sort of firing towards your legs, and perhaps you're wearing pants or anything, so then the sound gets a bit muffled. And that's always the downside of downward firing speakers. But if you consider that I bought this laptop for around 260 euros, I can forgive it. So this was playing back a file directly from the hard drive. So let's just say we go to YouTube, and we try to find that same movie. And there is a 4K version. So as you can see, I was already testing this. And when you put it into 1440p, 60 Hz, it's still playable, viewable, and perhaps here and there, like with the zooming in scenes, those kind of things, that you will notice some dropped frames, but 1440p, 60 Hz, YouTube, it is able to do this on Windows 10. Well, just as an example, I can put it into 4K, but that's not a good idea. Although you can play it from a local file, you won't be able to play it with YouTube. And as you can see here, it totally freezes. And when we put it back into 1440p, it looks really good. And I have to say that I think this is quite a bright screen, and perhaps the color balance is a little bit off, but again, for 260 euros, I don't think you can complain about the screen. Now, there were 2 subscribers on my channel that were asking if I can test Roblox. Well, it's not really a game that I've played before, but I already logged in and downloaded the executable, and I thought I remembered the login, but apparently I didn't, so we'll just pick some random birthday, and we'll say sign up. yeah, whatever. It really doesn't. I think, yep. So this should be it. So what I tested before, let's see if I can find it again. Yeah, this one. Yeah, that's okay. So I'm having everything on default, and so here it is. So when we do Shift F5, I'm not sure if it's really visible on the video, but then you get the frames per second. So now it's like between 30 and sometimes 45 frames per second. These are the default settings, and I have to say, it's not bad. So now I didn't figure out how to use the sword. Oops. So with the default settings, I think it's okay. One of the things that you might not notice just yet, but yeah, this is quite demanding for this little laptop. So at some point the fans will kick in, and there's a high-pitched noise when the fans kick in. It's not really loud, but yeah, it's noticeable. So, but I think this can give you an idea on how well it plays Roblox. Now, as I said before when I started this video, that I wasn't really happy that, yeah, this is mostly just Windows. Almost forgot, there's one more thing I want to test, and that's the micro SD slot. And I have a 256 gigabyte micro SD card, and this one works, so that's nice. But you do need like a little bit of nails, or yeah, something sharp to get it out again. It's a spring mechanism, so you have to push it in a little bit further and then it comes out. Well, I already prepared a live USB stick with Ubuntu, so I'm going to put it in. And we're going to see if Ubuntu wants to start. So I had some problems making it boot from the USB stick, and because I found out it's an AMI BIOS, and then with F8 that's usually where you get the early boot menu, but in this case it directly goes to the USB stick. Yeah, probably this isn't really readable, but this is already the Ubuntu boot menu, and I was expecting a sort of early boot menu where you can choose if you want to start from the SSD or from a USB stick. But anyway, with F8 I'm able to boot from the USB stick. So here is Ubuntu starting. No, we don't need to check the disk. And of course, booting from a USB stick is not the fastest way. But here it is. The Intel Wi-Fi was also detected by Ubuntu. And just as a small test, we can go to YouTube again. And then we're going to look for Big Buck Bunny again. Oops. And see how it plays on Ubuntu. So 720p, 60 Hz. This is already where you see some frame drops. It's not really fluid. And yeah, I can test. Oh, now it already went to 1080p. And then you notice that this is already too much on Ubuntu. So I have to get back to 720. As I said before, still some frame drops. And I think this is 720p, 60 Hz. Yeah, 60 Hz. So 720p 60 Hz is already too much. But if we take another movie from Blender, and we can put that one in 720p, but that is only 24 Hz or frames per second. And that plays without any problems. Oh, just so all in all, I have to say I'm really impressed what Chuwi is delivering. Well, it was a special discount when they launched it, but still 260 euros for a 1440p screen, which is quite bright, very sharp, 12 gigabytes of memory, a quad-core Celeron type CPU that is still capable of playing 4K video files locally. I'm really impressed. So the challenge now is to install Ubuntu on this laptop And the idea I have is to order another M2 SSD drive and make it multi-boot and see if we can get any video acceleration on Ubuntu. But that probably has to wait until after Black Friday, because I plan to buy the M2 drive. Hopefully I can find a good deal on Black Friday. So this is my first impression on the Chuwi Gemibook, and I'm probably going to be doing lots more testing with this laptop. And for now, on Windows 10, I think this is exceptional value, but with Linux, yeah, probably need to do some homework. That's all for today, and I hope to see you again in my next video.